always be times when we drop that ball.
Yes.
We are not perfect. Like we burn out, we get tired, we want to rest. I mean, and yet the parenting knob is constantly on. Like you keep wearing that dad. You're always a father. You can drop everything else, but for as long as you're always a father. And for me, I've seen it with my son. The times when I'm just giving myself some space, and sometimes I really see a slack off. Like the guy he gets the gap. It is a gap. Yeah, you literally see somebody, with like go until somewhere. So because they say, there's always a foundation. So do what you can, lay the foundation. But then when I'm on top of my game, I see him pace, try to exceed the limits that he knows he has set for himself. When I don't, he just goes back to status quo, equilibrium. So what are the things that you have seen in your children in those moments when you slack off for longer than usual?
Maybe even before I get into slacking, of course, before I came, I asked the wiser parent, my wife. I said, I'm going for this show, and so Pumla is going to be asking about presence and mindful parenting. Anything smart, that will make me shine. And she's like, well, so she said something. She said, kids need presence, not presents. Presents as in gifts and all of that, and she was honest with me. She said, sometimes we drop the ball and you compensate with presents. So said, you see, last night, because she had a gig, came back really tired, and she's like, they're going to be all over me, and I really want to rest. And so she passed somewhere and picked some presents. And she was like, I know I'm guilty and what, but because you just give it, say, okay, go, and so that you can just have some me time, and I guess it's okay every once in a while. But sometimes, if that becomes default setting, that you start to give presents, to replace with presents, that's not going to work. Your kids need you. So
I'm going to agree with Ronnie, but I'm going to throw in a boomerang. One of the things which we realized was very important to the growth of our kids was actually the absence of us as the parents. This is an interesting take.
Very different from what we're talking about. Absentee parents? Please explain.
Let me kind of explain and look at it this way. When we were growing up, I don't know if you guys had this experience. Our parents, I don't know if they did it intentionally, but it actually worked. They used to say, this week we're going to drop you off at cousin Pumla's house, and you're going to stay there this week. And what you're going to do is that you're going to stay with auntie and uncle, pick up a couple of things from there, understand cultures, values, and the rest. Next weekend, I'm going to cousin
Sending you
Allan.
to the village.
Yes, go to the village. And they kept rotating us. Now, this perambulating, what it did is that, first of all, it ingrained in us the importance of everything that we learned at our house. But again, also, it allowed people from outside to see the progress that we had made in our house. So, one of the things which we actually started doing during lockdown, we saw that there was this gap. Because we were so busy, always working, always trying to get things done, there was a disconnect between us and our relatives. And especially now, the nephews and nieces. They were not
so
able
to become strangers.
Exactly.
That's true.
So, even though you as Pumla, you're doing a great job as a parent, you're doing it in
isolation.
And it's to a trot. You're not able to benchmark to see, am I actually doing a good job? And the kids actually will come back and say, oh, guess what? We went to Uncle Ronnie's place, and we were telling them about how to wash your hands before you eat and what, and they were like, oh, you mean you do that before? I said, yes. And they said, and then
we've been doing it after.
No, but you see what it is? Huh? So because of that, there was a need for us to we created something every month. It's standard. It's a default. We move from house to house. And what it does, it also shows values. It shows that it's not about money. Each of us cooks, but it also helps us now to share the parenting responsibility. You see that? It's not only about you. I pick
Back
up
to our cultural settings where it takes the whole village to raise a child.
So that's what we started doing. We call it a monthly clan consumption. This month at Cousin Ronnie's. Next month, Cousin Allan's. And we do that. Everybody cooks and brings, but it's all about now values. It's about learning.
Yeah.
It's about sharing knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's a great one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
However,
Good
for me,
combo,
it's great. It's just that sometimes values have now changed, you know, and you honestly, my family, my wife and I, there's a limited pool of
individuals
you can
trust.
Who you can trust.
Yes.
Yeah, because value systems are just different.
Isn't it good for them to see the wrong?
Yes.
Thank
you,
good.
Allan.
To be exposed to the wrong.
It's good, but there are
Because
some.
you can be in the right environment all through. Then you grow up.
And then
you get
shocked.
and
Then you are like, yo.
I need to see that Ronnie's place, man, that they don't shower every day.
Yeah.
Well, okay, fine. It's
Even
just
though
that
daddy insists that
Even
we
though
shower
daddy
every day.
says we
there's
shower
some
every day.
there's some exposure which you can't undo. Yeah, because I mean there's.
Within limits, of
Yes,
course.
yeah. So anyway, I commend your style and what it's just you want to be careful.
No, I
The
agree.
value
Yeah,
systems
you-
because you send them to the Uncle Mich's. I was going to use Uncle Mich and the Allan. But even Uncle Mich allows them to what? You know, and sometimes like my daughter, we were laughing this morning because she was like, all my friends have phones.
That's right. Yes.
And so there's a group she's joined, and now they're using the mom's phone to WhatsApp, and so my wife was like, hey, how are they all WhatsApp? Do they all have phones? She's like, yes, this is what I've been trying to tell you. And she was like, you ask your dad when you get it. I said, I'll give you a phone on your wedding day. That will be your. And she was like, what? You guys are not my parents.
No.
But that was just a joke.
No, but Ronnie is very right, huh? And I'm going to say that Allan's perspective of allowing them to go out.
Yeah.
You know, there's a good book called the Bible. It says that you should be in the world, but not of the world.
Of the world.
So it's also interesting with your kids. Your kids must understand, experience
the
everything,
world.
and be able to come back and say, Dad, at different people's houses, this is what they do. But now I see why.
You are
always saying. And those are the conversations.
Those are the best lessons.
Those are my lessons. That's when my kids come back.
And it may take some time to get to that point.
But you want that discussion.
Yeah, it may take some time to get to that point.
Yes.
But you want
that discussion.
to happen.
So Ronnie, let them go, but make sure when they come back, sit down and say, so what are the things that you guys saw? They do this is this. But what do you see?
Yes.
Do you see why we do it like this?
Exactly.
And I'm going to give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
Schools just opened up again. And we've been talking about this hygiene story and wearing your masks and what, huh? 2.5 weeks, my son comes back with cough and flu. My daughter comes back with the same thing a day after. She's struggling to breathe. She can't sleep at night. My son is coughing. I sit them down and I say, do you see what I told you about hygiene, about wearing your masks, about cleaning your hands?
Yes.
They sat me down and they say, we now get it.
We now
I understand what you mean because it hurts. If I had paid attention, if I had worn my mask, I would not be where I am.
So a lot of the time, the lesson sinks in after the fall.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
Which is important.
And we need to be
That's
comfortable
Yes.
as parents
to allow them
that.
to make that mistake.
Fall
Yeah.
just can't be you then fall and break your leg and you are like, now have you learned?
No, I get that. I understand that. Actually, yes. So I feel like it's now you're mixing theory with application.
Yes.
So which is the
Yes.
best combination,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
Experience has to happen.
Yeah.
Because if they fall, it's the same as when you're saying like the financial literacy,
Yes.
which life has taught us. But if we had small introductions, to those lessons from a very young age, maybe we would be doing better and doing better now. But so maybe as we wrap this up, we've spoken a lot about mindful parenting. What would be your parting shots to fathers and moms as well, of course, parents out there about mindful present parenting and what they can do better with their children going forward?
Yeah. I can go first, Pumla, and two things that I just wanted to share. I would leave with the parents there, especially the dads. I guess that's our key target audience here. I think the role of a dad, especially in his children's lives, the daughters in particular, in my case, dads really, you define that moral compass and give identity to your children, yeah? And being present to catch things, to, so-and-so said, you know, me, I'm too dark, or blah, 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 and to correct that, to reassure, to, you know, to be there for them. Valentine's is tomorrow. I don't know when this show is going to air, or you know, but I found out last week there was issues in class because Gunde's Valentine, hey, what? I'm like, yo, this is too soon, yeah? So, firstborn is 12, down is 10, yeah? And so then the 3-year-old is also hearing about Valentine's. What about me? Who's my Valentine? So what we've agreed, because tomorrow is school, yeah? Tonight we're having a Valentine's date, and I'm going to be their Valentine. So they have chosen now the clothes, what I'm supposed to go and change after this. This is not romantic enough, I guess. And Mami is going to find her levels and wait for tomorrow, yeah? But why? So that when some kafane chap will come with sweetener things and, you know, saying you're beautiful, you're this, you're like, yeah, I know, my dad already told me. Yeah, so number one is that identity. There are girls who have made it in life. She's a go-getter, she's excelling in her career, but has those daddy issues, that she's insecure, and you're like, you know. Number two is being present. You're there to discipline. Yeah, and that's a very, very key role. And maybe the little things I want to leave for you for discipline is you don't discipline what you've not trained. All right? If you've not trained it, you can't discipline it. Do we do chiboko at home? I don't know about you.
We don't call it chiboko. We call it discipline.
Discipline.
It's not chiboko.
Yeah.
But of course, it's done through Dr. Belt.
There you go. Yeah. And so for discipline, for example, you say, you know, don't stick your finger into that socket. Yeah. I need to train you. And then if you do it the first time, I'll smack you one hot one on the behind, not on the pamper, because I'm not sparking the pamper. If you do it a second time, now that's disobedience. Because the first time, maybe it's an error. Second time, it's disobedience. I'll give you 2. Third time, that's now rebellion. You know what you should do, but you're insisting. But because I'm present to catch that, you know, I need to drive that folly. The Bible says the road drives out folly from the child. So be present to capture discipline, to give that direction, and to just be there, you know, when they need you.
Yeah, I think beyond the chibok, I think for me some of the things I use is there are techniques called positive parenting as well. Yeah. So taking away privileges. So if you're supposed to, we have TV time at home. Yes. I think they watch from 6 to about 8 p.m. Okay. So if they are being rowdy, and I'm in a meeting that day, they know no TV. Yes. So I think even as parents, there are many ways. For me, by the time Chiboko comes out, it is a heavy the offense, and also you've overdone it. The lesson is not getting in.
It's not entering.
Yeah, it's not entering. Yeah, but also I think for me the other key benefit of being present is being able to answer questions, tough questions. I'll tell you, just this morning when I was laying on the couch, my son likes to come and jump on me. And so he was asking me, he's 5 years. Yeah. So he was asking me, Daddy, how will I be able to get my own woman?
Like, yo, bro, you must have got off the couch and be like, yeah.
I'm curious to the response.
No, and of course I was telling him that you have about 20 more years to be able to start figuring out. To start figuring out. So you have a lot of time to think about this question. You don't need to answer it now.
But that must have got you think, where has this question come from?
What
was the thought process that led to...
Yeah, and who could he ask if I wasn't there? Yeah. So I think there is a lot of benefit in being present and being able to deal with all these issues. Even for my 20-year-old, we've been speaking through. She's going to university, so we've been speaking through campus. What are the preparations? What does she need to be doing? We've taken her out all these big spots, such that the boys are not going to confuse her. Let me take you to Serena. So we've tried as much as possible, but also to ensure that we are exposing her and exposing them to all these opportunities such that they are not big deals when trouble sets in.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I think Allan and Ron have basically dotted the I's and crossed the T's, but I'm a strong believer that as a parent, as a dad, your role is actually definitely to be a priest in the family.
Yeah.
You're again also a provider. But then you see, there's something which is very critical, planning their purpose and helping them to find their purpose as kids.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge is that we believe that parenting is sort of like and they will live happily ever after. It doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you see, it's important to be able to say, that's where I want my children to be 15, 20, 30 years in the future. How will I help them?
What do we do now?
What do I do now to help them get there? Do not assume that by sitting back and just paying school fees and putting food on the table in a house, that they will get to that destination. The world is changing at a rate we can't understand. So from a digital standpoint, how am I going to be able to do this? What conversations must I have?
What do I need to expose
What do I need to expose them to? You won't believe it's 10 and an 8-year-old. We've already had the conversation about sex at home. Already.
Oh, yeah.
And it's important for these guys to have. But again, also, we've already had the conversation about where do I want to be in terms of jobs, in terms of work. Because I love your story about homeschooling. I had to do homeschooling when the kids were at home the last 2 years. And it's because of that when they came back to school to do their passage exams, they beat, actually, my son almost got 100 in all of the papers.
Is he?
Yeah, I know the dad is smart, but hey, yeah.
Is he there?
So I think it's important. Yeah. Let's be present, but let's drive and give them purpose. Understand where you want them to go, and what are the things I need to do to get them to there. And then you're going to start succeeding.
Thank you so much. These are the conversations that we need to be having. Thank you so much, Mich. Thank you so much, Ronnie. Thank you so much, Allan. It's even just sitting in your presence here, I've learned a lot. So I had a present dad as well, and my son's dad is also present. But I can see where we need to be better.
Yeah.
And I love the word engage. You need to be intentional about engaging with your children. That is what present parenting is. So to have a whole adult tomorrow, we need to be present today. And that's what that drives the direction, to know where we want to go and what we can do as parents right now to prepare our children to be whole adults tomorrow. So we're thankful for this conversation. We know you're having it as well. What are you doing? Please let us know what you are doing to be more present in your child's lives today. Until next time, with love from Bantla.
And Pumla has done an amazing job, don't you think?
Oh yes, let's give a big round of applause.
Obrigado.